Can you see that? Welcome back to J-Max Customs Fabrication, video 28. As I stand here today, this is the 18th of February. I have 1 month until we have to be on the road to the games. And I have no airbags still. They're supposed to be here tomorrow. Hopefully they work better than these did. I am contemplating if this is how I want to mount my radiator. In the last video, I got my intercooler tubes all welded up. That metal welded like total crap. I have to do the intake plenum. I have my air box up here. I haven't 100% decided. I mean, it fits right there, but you can't get the top off of it. The tire is right there. If I move it back, it does that to where the tire will clear it a little better, because when this tire is turned in, it's going to be like right there. So I may have to do something different with the air box. Not sure yet. This has to take up all of this area. We still have to get the overflow tank in for the radiator. That's probably going to have to go right in here somewhere. Hydraulic pump. I got my heat put in. Ran it for a little bit, let it get hot. So tomorrow my airbags come in. I should get my rubber lines for my brake changeover to where I can loop it to where the cab can go over. This one line for the orbital valve is long enough the way it sits, but as soon as the cab starts moving at all, it gets tight. So I need to add about a foot to that. So when I run down to get my parts from Napa tomorrow, I'll grab a little bit longer hose. I have to build the shift mechanism. I'm going to build like a gated shifter that'll go in here just off of like you won't hit your knee on it, but it's going to be to where I can come off the steering wheel and right onto that shifter. And then the shifter for the transfer case is right there. I'll probably just extend that handle up a little bit to where it's easier to get a hold of, to where it's not, you know, in your everyday pickup, you got to get down there by the floorboard to get a hold of it. I want it right up there by the shifter so I can go in and out of four-wheel drive easily. I'm fair certain what I don't get done in this video, I will get done before we drive it. And then once we drive it, then I'll start doing the roll cage. We'll bring in the software to design that so that we can do it efficiently, easily, and as cheaply as possible. Driver's side fender, had to cut the bottom off of it so it'd clear the rocker. You can see how the rock slider is exactly the length of the fender, so now it doesn't look like it sticks out so bad, not so ugly. My sawzall caught here. This all will get beat back down. It got a little sawzall rip to it. So the bad news in all of that, look at the gap I've got here. Look at the gap I've got here, or the lack thereof. So we put the cab on here. We put all the cab mount bolts in it. Everything went together fine. But we never put well, I guess the front was on it, but everything was one piece until I cut it all off. Or we took it all off and didn't put it back on. But now that I've got this all, I crawled under there, and the bolt holes in the cab, these are all on this side. This front one is in the very back driver's corner, and the back one on this side, I guess what I'm trying to say is the cab is not parallel with the frame. It's shifted way to the driver's side in the front. And to fix that, I'm going to have to cut my hinge system off of the frame, take it all apart, move the cab to where it's square with the frame, and then refigure. All my angles and everything will change when I do it. I'll have to refigure everything, clean up the frame, rebuild my arms that go out for the hinge, and get the cab squared away and get everything redone before we build the catch for the other side, because once I build the catch for the other side, then we're pretty well locked in. But for now, I can build the tube that goes from this rock slider. It's going to go from there. It's going to come up. My tube is going to run in the center of this top line. So it'll be 1.75 inches. Half of it will be above the green line and half of it will be below. The fender will get cut off at the green line. That way you got that nice round tube on the bottom side of that. I'll bend this. I believe we decided this is a 70-degree angle. So it'll get a 70 here. It'll come down. It'll get whatever that is, and it'll dive into this rock slider. Now, all of this, I'm going to try and bend that whole thing all in one piece. And I also noticed that my cantilever hits the hood right here on this side, and it doesn't hit on this side, which allows the hood to come down, and it hits this fender nice. And I've got a 1/2 inch gap over here, and that's because that cantilever is hitting on this side, not on that side. And I think that will change when I shift the cab. Now when I shift the cab, I hope all of this stuff that I'm really, really close with, like this is going to get closer to this. It sucks, but it's something we're going to have to contend with, because I can't. I mean, if this was like 1/8 of an inch off or something, you know, that'd be one thing. But it's 4 inches off. And that's just not acceptable. So I will be cutting the hinge off and redoing it to where it's correct. So that's going to take me a minute that I wasn't, 100% planning. But I think that it's a good thing that we caught it now. So it is what it is. I'm not sure if I'll do that tonight. I'm going to have to cut this fender off. It's got all this stuff for the headlight. My tube is going to run 1/2 in and 1/2 out of this. So all of this has to go yet. The fender is going to mount or bolt to the cab, and my tubing will probably be like permanently fixed to the cab because it's going to weld to this rock slider. This fender is still just going to be cosmetic. So there'll probably be a few tabs on my tubing, and I'll just put like 5/16 bolts, maybe 4 of them, 5 of them around there. They'll be exposed, and I don't know, maybe someday they'll have like a flare or something bolted to them. I'm going to work up my brake lines. I caught something while I was down there at Napa. We just ordered that rear brake line, and we just ordered a random one because I was like, it probably doesn't really matter. And they came in, and this end right here, I needed the 3/16, and I believe I got 1/4. So that won't work. But the guy that works there that's got years and years of experience. Of course it costs extra, but he got me a bronze adapter that takes it from the larger size down to the smaller size. So good thing he was able to do that, I guess, so that I didn't have to wait 2 or 3 more days for another set of brake lines to come in. This one can't be mounted because this end hooks to the lines that are there on the frame, and that all swings when the cab moves. And then this is teed, so it's going to work perfect for the front. For the back, I just have to plug one of these holes because I just need one single line. And then I can use this hole that usually goes to the vent, like on your rear end. I can use that to bolt this wherever I see fit. So right now, I am going to try and get the brakes hooked up. I'll just kind of, my airbags are supposed to be in this afternoon from the UPS. So if those come in, then we can rebuild the mounts. The airline is going to go into the center up here instead of offset like these, so I might have to rebuild these mounts completely. And then where they're a double billow bag, my bottom mount's probably going to have to be up a little bit higher because they have a little bit less travel. And I want the bags to be all but collapsed where it's sitting, and then I want to make it to where this and the top plate and the bottom plate are perfectly in line with each other for the 4 inches of travel or whatever it is that we need. Well, we need 4 inches back there, so it's just a little bit here, but I want them to be perfectly parallel in the stage that they're going to be carrying pressure. When the axle falls out from under it, that's not going to be under pressure. It's just going to stretch the bag. So they don't have to be parallel at that point. It has to be when they return to ride height, they have to come back into alignment. They don't have to be all the time, if that makes sense. I'll show you maybe after I get it done what exactly I'm talking about. Can't believe that's all the longer that heater ran. I wish I had all my walls insulated now to save me on that propane bill. Okay, I am finishing brakes and planning I'll get to building brakes and cutting my hinge system off and getting that reworked. And then we'll come back and make sure that everything still clears once I move. This isn't going to move a lot because, I mean, this is like 4 inches and it's pretty tight over there. So you probably have like 3 inches. So, I mean, this needs to go over 1.5 inches. So it needs to be like right here. So it just needs to move that little bit, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you look at it, it's very, very highly noticeable. So we'll work on that. For right now, that's second or third on the list. Back to work I go. The back brake worked mucho good. So it's the front line here, comes down, ties into this rubber line. The rubber line just makes a little hoop, comes down, ties into my back brake and off to the back. This is one of the stainless steel lines that I have for the front, and I'm actually going to tie the front one into the top. It's going to loop like this, and it's going to mount, I believe, right on top of this one, right there on the frame, so there'll just be a bolt through the two of them. And I'm going to bring my brake lines out like this, but one will brake 90 and go up and have the fitting here, and the other one will just go up and have the fitting up here. And then these braided stainless lines will just tie into it like that, and then they go down, they'll run down the top link like this down to the axle, and then wherever they end from there out to the calipers, to those new caliper brake lines that I got, will be hard line. I'll just build them out of this. If you're going to build hard line, brake line for anything, give Eastwood a call. There's their 800 number right there. They have this brake line tool that just goes into your vise. This handle goes in here like this, and it does single and double flares on anything from 1/4 to 3/8. So you can do fuel line and stuff with it. That's 3/8. I used to fight with the little cheapy things, you know. It's not worth it. Go to Eastwood, and get you that tool right there to build your brake lines with. While you're there, I'm not 100% sure that's where I got my bender, but you do want to get mandrel bender also, so you're not kinking your lines. And then you just have to remember to put the ends on before you put your flares on, so that you don't mess it up. Let's go ahead and I'll show you. I can bend one real quick, and my little workbench here is quite the mess because I've just been plugging away trying to get this thing ready to drive, and I have not been on the made detail, as you can see from the corn stalks that blew in here a couple days ago. So we'll get this set up here in the vise. The nut that holds my vise on here just all but pulled out the other day, so we're working on borrowed time there too. It used to bolt down like that, and then the bolt decided to all but leave us. Okay, first of all, I want to put that 90 in here. I kind of want it to be as short and tight as I can, so I'm going to go ahead and hold on to it clear up here on this fitting, and then I'll just bring this around to my 90. So now I got a nice 90 in there that's not kinked. And then I'm just going to use the fitting that came with this line, and I'll see about how long I want it real quick. So I don't want it very long. It needs to be about here. And with the fitting on here, I have to be able to get it in my tool. So my tool will allow it to go to there. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it a little bit longer than that. If you make it too short and you can't get your tool on there, then that's just not going to work. So then we take our tubing cutter here, spin that around. Once it gets easy to turn, give it another crank. There you go. Now, number one, make sure you have the fitting on your brake line before you flare it, because once you flare it, you can't unflare it to put this on. And you want to make sure before you bend it that you don't put both fittings on the pipe so you don't forget it and then bend it, because then it won't go around the bend. Just a little bit of helpful advice for you. So then this tool here is really cool. Let me move you over here so you can see what's going on. I don't think we want to, you don't want a long away shot of this, because this is, okay, I have my line in here where it's sticking out, and this flat die pushes your block and your line in to where they're both flush. Then you tighten it down. Then you're going to want to go to this 3/16 first flare. It's got the little nipple that goes inside of there. And what it's going to do is it's going to make your line look like a football, like that. I need to get my vise mounted. Okay, then you turn it to your second flare. What that's going to do is it's going to take your football and it's going to collapse the tube to where you get a double flare, which just makes your flare two thicknesses thick, where you get that really nice strong bond there for your fitting. There you go. Double flared. Knock on wood, I've never had one leak. They seal up really, really nice. So I'll go put this on. It'll have that stainless line that just hooks into it like that. That then goes down over the frame. Now I just have to find the fittings enough to build another one just like this. And then I burned up both fittings on that line there, so hopefully that'll work too. This doesn't match that. Don't work. Hang on a second. Okay, so the fitting from the front end from my rock crawler, it does thread in here. So I don't know what the difference is, if the one's metric. But anyway, this fitting won't fit into the braided stainless. So I'm gonna cut this flare off of this. Take this fitting off. That's what I mean as far as not being able to unflare it. You gotta cut your flare off. These tubing cutters, they have a groove there to where the flare will just, it goes in that little groove right there. So you can cut these things really, really short to where you don't lose a lot of pipe. That way you don't lose all your tube when you cut them off, but it'll just cut the flare off. That's for when you make the oops, which you'll do it. I mean, thinking about it sometimes I think causes you to mess up. You're like, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up. And then you screw up. Okay. Now, see, that little fitting fits this tube. So the one must be metric. And this fitting is quite a bit shorter. So I'll have that extra room that I need to be able to re-flare it. So we'll turn this to the flat die. Just do everything over again. Kind of glad I tried all of this before I put it up under there. So now this fitting will go into that one. Very nice. And that one won't go into that one. Don't know what I got wrong here, but that's not the right size, folks. So this line that I got won't work. These fittings are wrong. And don't know if there's room to put the other one on here. So it's not that it's, well, I guess it could still be metric. These are the things when you're building custom stuff that at first it'll bother you, but then after a few projects you just realize that this is the nature of the beast. When you're customizing something, you better be ready to customize. Because once you change one thing, it's gonna snowball on you like you about can't wrap your mind around the amount of customization that you're gonna have to endure just because you changed that one thing. Next thing you know, man, it's like literally everything changes on you. I probably should have just used that other line that had the two fittings on it. Now this one is too short, so So I'm gonna have to straighten it back out. That nice 90 that I put in it has to straighten out so I can get the fitting back far enough. At which point, build my flares back into it. You want to make sure you get your vise on your tubing tight enough that it doesn't push the tubing in, because it can, if you don't have it tight enough, you'll just push your brake line in. And then you don't get the proper flare or anything on it. So now before I bend it again, I want to make sure that fitting's out there. I'll hold on to my fitting again, and I'll turn this to where my arc is the same. Now you see I don't have enough, so for the first time I'll just move this up to where I'm into here a little more. I don't have the 90, but there we go. Now hopefully this fitting will fit in there. Oh yeah, there we go. So this will go like that on the frame. Now this next one that I'm going to build, it's going to come out here and it's going to go up just a little bit farther because the frame's taller out towards the front, and I want these to be fairly equal when they get over to the axle. So I got to build another one of these, but I got to find the different fittings because these off of my brake line are wrong. And now I've got this chunk of tube that I can build all my other stuff with. I really wish that I would have used this little chunk of tube that had the two fittings and just bent that up. But that's actually about the right length for this next one. So I'll find two fittings and put on here, and I'll build my next tube out of that. Then these braided ones will come down that top link to the front axle, and then it'll hardline from there out to each tire. So just rinse and repeat. I got to build a bunch of these lines. You guys have seen me make one. That's how the rest of them will be built. They're just longer. And I'll have to, where it comes down the axle and stuff like that, I'll bend it to where it's all, you know, conforms to the axle and everything and stays out of the way. I hope the fan's not too loud for you guys. It's actually like getting kind of toasty in here. I think I'll turn it down just a little bit. But it's gonna get dark before long, and then it'll get cold. So, well, I'll see you in a minute. Down that top 4-link. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these. They're grip lock ties. They have a rubber strip on them. They won't chafe wires and stuff like your regular zip ties will. And once you use them, they have this little tab. You just pull it out. And unhook them, so you can reuse them. Guy Mike Patey and another guy invented these. Unfortunately, the guy that helped Mike invent them and bring them to the market had a airplane accident and is no longer with us. But if you guys need a good zip tie that you can reuse that won't chafe your wires and it won't slip because it's got that rubber, check them out. Not sponsored. Grip lock ties. They're a little more expensive, but I like them. I don't always use them, but for some things that you don't want them to walk and stuff, I don't want the stainless steel lines run right past the positive post on the starter. And if they were to slide up and short across that, bad day, lose my brakes, you know, possibly a fire, lose the rig, a couple extra bucks, cheap insurance. Okay, got a box here, come in the UPS truck. hopefully, oh man. I don't know. These here were supposed to be 5.5 inches. It's gotta be 8. Yep, on the money, 8. That's too much. My other bags just barely fit in there. The billows, when they're squashed out, I think were 7 1/4. Yep. That's how much room we have all the way around them. I don't know, me. I don't know if that's gonna work or not. The airbags themselves are the same. And these don't get fatter. The diameter of that bag is the same, whether it's compressed or whether it's all the way out. I have one of those mounting brackets on the floor somewhere. There it is. Ha! Look at that. My mounting holes are exactly the same. It says you can take them up to 100 psi. The tires that are holding this up right now, they look kind of flat because I got them aired down. Those are at 12 pounds. 12. 88 more pounds in here than that. The only problem that we have is that this billow plate is too big, and I'm guessing that protects the bag when it's compressed like that, but there's nothing, I don't have anything that's gonna destroy that. So if we put our air fitting on the bottom, these will actually mount right up to that. So let's see if these bolts are too long, too short. Okay, so we need some shorter bolts. Now the other thing that we need to know, so that I can run back to Napa today before they close if I have to, I need to know what size my airline is that I got with the other bags. Of course, it's smaller, and it looks like it's metric. 6 by 1 millimeter. Now all the fittings that I got with that kit, there's not a single 90 in here. So I'm not sure how you're supposed to tie the bags in, because I'm just going to use all of this stuff on those airbags for the F650 cab, which probably can't tell you guys about yet. So this thing, fully compressed, just out of curiosity here, is like 3.5 inches. And in order to do that and know where all of this sits parallel with one another, I'll have to pull my blocks out from under the frame and let these back down onto the overloads. I don't know what it is about the overload here on the driver's side, but after I left it sitting on the way to the wrecker overnight, that overload will not come back out. I don't know if I ruined it, what the deal is. Maybe I got it too hot when I spot welded it on there. I guess I'll go build some more of these plates because I got them on the plasma table. I'll get rid of this middle hole, and we will put a big hole there for the air fitting, I guess. Man, I hope that makes a difference. Because, well, let's just say it better. I only needed like the bag to move about that much and stay in line, and then from there it's just drooping out and pulling the bag apart. But this triple billow bag would not do that, man. It wouldn't even pick it up, just blow out. So I'll go and get the stuff I need so I can set this up. It's a 1/4 inch NPT, and I actually got the 90s when I was down there because I knew what I needed. So I have the air fittings to come out to a 90, but they don't work. So I gotta go spend some more money at Napa. I gotta take this hose over here down there, and if I had a measurement for my battery cable that I need to go from the starter to this side over here, and I need to be able to route it to where it doesn't get in the way of any of the exhaust or my suspension or the drive line or anything like that. So I don't know if I can figure that out or not. The ground just needs to go from the battery to the frame, I think. Then I can go from I surely already go from the frame to the engine and everything, so that shouldn't be too bad. I need to take one of those bolts. I need to make a list really quick. I get down there and sometimes I even forget the stuff that's on my list. Man, that wrench had like a mind of its own. Where in the heck did it even go? Oh, it almost hit me in the toe. I thought it went clear up there by the front of the axle. Not sure why I picked this bolt to take out. It's like the worst one. It's up under the plenum there. Need to get a cap for my brake reservoir too, it looks like. I can't get that bolt out. It runs into the bottom of the plenum. Well, ain't that handy? Wonder if I'll ever be able to get that bolt out. Surely I can throw it off to the side. Maybe I'll just take this plenum off real quick and make sure I can get that bolt out, because if I can't, then it ain't gonna work, because I gotta be able to either cut that bolt off or do something with it. I don't know that that's what I shouldn't just do with these bolts, just cut them off. Okay, I was hoping to get on here, be all excited and everything that this was gonna work. I took this bag up to 35 pounds, and I'll do it again here on camera for you. The air chuck right there by the camera I know is really annoying. I don't know why it leaks so bad, but it does. Like, something's gonna give. I mean, my hub up here, you can see how it's like bending up. That's not good. These arms right here are getting deflection where those speed holes are at. Probably because it's weak. This bag is kind of, I have it where it pivots here. Okay, so you can see how this bag is starting to deform a little bit. Don't know how many pounds I have in here, but you can see how this axle is deflecting up, and it's soaking up like the slack in that pipe, because it does have some slack. So it soaked that up. That's not really a failure. But over here where these speed holes are at, it's starting to get a little bit of deflection there. Okay, first of all, let's hit the jack here once. Ooh, that is getting really light there. So I'm gonna let the air out of this bag. That furnace, it's so cold out that without the building being insulated and stuff, it's just not gonna. I have it turned down to like 40. With the fan on that furnace running, you wouldn't be able to weld because it would blow all of your gas away from the weld, which is like not the handiest thing in the world. Okay guys, I had to shift all of my air up toward the ceiling from the furnace so that I could do a little bit of welding on this. None of the heat's down here on the floor. Total waste of hot air just going up. Speaking of air, we're going to put a little air into these bags and see if it'll pick it up. I got both sides mounted. The driver's side over here was giving me a little bit of fits as far as getting the bracket to be exactly like it is on the passenger side. That's why it's jacked up. Can you see that? Yeah, sure. This side here was being held up by the jack, but okay, I'll blink. Not standing in the way, am I? Bag over here started deforming on the outside. Why is this one? They're both doing it. Oh yeah. Okay guys, I think the proof of concept is there. I don't know if you can see it, but the bag got big on this side. And the reason that it did that is because where basically the hub would be, it mounts up to this hub. So this would be like your wheel, I guess. But where this plate mounts to the hub, it's deflecting right there. And this is pushing like this, and it's actually bending here. And I know that through these speed holes right here, without having that pipe welded in there, I know I'm getting deflection right there. It worked. It picked it up, and I should have tested to see how many pounds I had in the bag when it popped. Let's go ahead and check that out. We'll take it up until it comes up, and then I'll see how many pounds of pressure we have in it real quick. Okay, right there it moved, but that bag's about to go. And that's, you can see all that deflection right there? That's not good. So the arms are the next weak point. And I have kind of a, like, okay, I'm chickening out plan with these airbags, where I'll still have all of the that's about 45 pounds. So that's half of the air that we could put in those bags, really. We can run the bags up to 100 pounds. But you can really see it in this side, how bad this was bending here and twisting like that. That's why this bag was starting to blow out, is because this whole arm was twisting that way. So now it's sitting on its blocks between the frame and the axle again. It kind of got a little bit jumpy there when it was popping and cracking a little bit. Okay, so proof of concept is totally there. The whole thing works, and these bags do pick it up, but then this starts to deflect. So we can fix that by boxing the top of this in and boxing the bottom in, but then we can't get to our lugs. And I don't know, I mean, even if we just put like a little hourglass right up here, just so this couldn't squeeze together and that couldn't deflect in, that would probably cure that. And if we weld our pipe into this speed hole, that would cure it. I've been told by a friend that this bag is rated for 2,500 pounds, but with this amount of leverage on it, it'll only hold about 900. I mean, between the sides, you're talking 1,800 pounds. But I think that this rig, okay, so this is gonna be off because I'm talking wheels and tires and axle and everything, so you got a bunch of unsprung weight adding to it. But I'm thinking that in the configuration of this pickup, the way I'm going to build it, you could be looking at over 9,000 pounds. And you figure half of that's on the front axle, and we're just overloading it by quite a bit. I am going to scrap the cantilever idea on this project because it's too heavy. I don't want to have like a catastrophic failure at the games. I don't want to have a catastrophic failure anywhere or anytime, really. I don't want to like do the debut of it and then have a catastrophic failure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all of this again. These things will pick up plenty of weight as far as putting them on there and just having them work like airbags. That'll work. This configuration, if this bar would have went where I wanted it to and it would have worked back here over the intercooler, it would have gave me, you know, another 4 inches on this arm, and then it would have been closer to a 1-to-1 ratio to where this bag would still do, you know, really close to 2,500 pounds. But in this configuration, it's just, I think the bags would do it, because we're not even halfway there and it's lifting it. But these arms are not. These hubs are off of like a little trailer, and if you think about it, I wouldn't haul this pickup on a trailer with axles like this, and that's basically what we're doing. So it was a good concept. It was fun to play with. It ate up probably 90% of the time, and just, I mean, I could have just threw this thing together with coilovers and then I wouldn't have burned up the last 2 weeks. But we have the airbags now, so we'll use this setup on a lighter project that's more suitable, I guess. Something with an LS in it, or a rat rod, or something down the road. We'll get this set up, but we're gonna pull the plug on it with slingshot. Not gonna happen. Which kind of, it's not cool, because that's kind of a trebuchet type, addle type of a thing, as far as, you know, it's just that it's amplifying the power in the wrong way for us. So, but my heater's not keeping up, so I'm gonna call it a night. So we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Throw a comment in about whether you thought the bags were gonna work or not. I had high hopes. Obviously, I spent a lot of time on them, but we're gonna pull the plug. So see you on the next one.